Hi guys, in this video, we are going to be talking about MMaths Form 4 Chapter 1 Functions. What is function? Function is a special relation where each element is mapped to one and only one element. In functions, we have two things, an object and an image. Now, we are going into example 1. If any of you guys are interested, you can refer to page 3 on the textbook. Now, there are a few ways to determine is whether a function or not. The one rule in function is one object must have only one image. The second thing is an image can have multiple objects, but an object cannot have multiple images. Third thing, even though the image doesn't have any object, an object cannot have no image. Now, we look at example 1a. So, we have element 2, 5, 6, element 8, 20, 22, and 24 as the image. Now, we have 2 mapping to 8, 5 mapping to 20, 6 mapping to 24. This is a function. As I said before, even though the image doesn't have any object, it is still considered a function. Now, the second one, we said before, an object can only has one image, which means the image can have multiple objects. But this is not a function because, as I said before, an object can only have one image. As you can see, element 18 has two images, 3 and 9. Therefore, this is not a function. Now we move on to C. C is a very special one because an object must have an image, which means if the object is not mapping to any of the image, it is not a function. So, as we can see, 1 mapping to A, 3 and 7 mapping to B, but 9 is not mapping to anything. So this is not a function. Lastly, we have donkey. Now, we will look at this. A and B mapping to 4. This is okay because two objects are mapping to one image. It qualifies the condition of one object must have one image. C mapping to 12 also satisfy the condition. But here, we have element 10 image who doesn't have an object. It is okay because an image doesn't require an object to become a function. So therefore, this is a function. Now, we're at example 2. In this example, I'm going to tell you how to create a function equation by looking at the functions. Okay, we're now look at 2a, x and the hx. Okay, so here is the object, here is the image. So now, what you will notice is, for x equals 2, the object, the hx, which is the image, will become 1 or 2. So we'll write this in the function equation first. So f, the image, the object, equals the image. So now, because we were asked to write it in hx, we have to write like this. So now, what you can do next is determine when the x equals to 2, how did your image become 1 over 2? You divide the x becomes the value. It becomes the object 1 over x. So h bracket x equals 1 over x. This is the function equation for 2a, because when you put 3 inside, it also becomes 1 over 3. You put 5 inside, it also becomes 1 over 5. Now, for the next one, boy. Now this one, we are also required to write out the function equation first. Now, h negative 5 equals 5. Now, we will look at the image have two objects. So, we're gonna write both down. Okay, so for these two, both the image are the same, but for the object, they are in a positive value and a negative value. In mathematics, there is only two things that can make it from a positive or negative value, then turn it into a positive value. Either it is an x squared or a modulus x. But x squared will still have to multiply what is the value. So we can't just put in negative 5 bracket square, because negative 5 bracket square will become 25. This is not 5. So let's leave the option of modulus x, because modulus x, whenever negative value or positive value you put inside, it will always become positive. Modulus negative 5 will become 5. Modulus 5 will also be 5. So, in conclusion, our equation, our hx is hx equals modulus x.